All right, everybody, we're going to talk about how to become a broad spectrum hitter. And what I mean by that is I'm going to draw here with the cursor. You know, a lot of guys get up here and have one swing path or one swing thought for any pitch, whether it's a high pitch or a low pitch. And instead of having just a, you know, let's say everyone's baseline is level, they're trying to swing level or slightly up. Well, you're only swinging, you know, on a level plane here and maybe slightly down. You're only covering this little narrow spectrum. You need to be able to take your hand path on a higher pitch, on an upward path like this, and on a lower pitch, you know, we advocate belly button to chest high is the ideal zone, but I have no problem with you swinging at something head high. And, you know, when it gets lower than belly button high, when it gets to waist high and lower, a very small margin of error down there. But you can still swing at it by taking your hands on an aggressive downward path. So we need to have a big, broad spectrum of the hand path right here. Do not have the same exact swing on every single pitch that comes in. We got Franc Henry again here. If you're sick of looking at his swing on the channel, I don't know what to tell you, because he's just got the best mechanics that I've seen. And he is with Louisville Slugger. He's not with Combat anymore, so forget the outfit here. First of all, on the stance, weight on the inside of the back foot, front shoulder higher than the rear shoulder. Already got kind of a built-in body angle there to launch the ball up in the air. As look at the first motion forward. Seeing a lot of you guys lately not getting this first motion forward. It's got to be head, chest, body coming forward, just like a pitcher in the stretch off of the mound. Look how he's pushing himself forward. You know, you don't reach the front foot out. You push your body forward, or let your body drift forward, or glide forward. Ryan Harvey has a really great glide step. He just barely takes his front foot off the ground and just lets himself glide forward. And the front foot just comes out to, you know, basically keep you from falling forward. You know, it just wherever it naturally lands, just like you're throwing a ball. If you're going to throw a ball up over the outfield fence, just do what you would do naturally and see how long your stride is. Now watch this, how as he's coming forward, the hands come back. As the front foot is coming forward, the hands come back. It's like a synchronicity there. It's just awesome to see that. The hands come back, back. As the front foot is about to land, the hands should be reaching their apex at the back here. And now here's the connected position, which is just absolutely phenomenal. The bat's only above the hands a little bit. Now what I'm talking about here with this broad spectrum hitting, let's say we're trying to anticipate where the ball is. We're not taking the hands to the ball, because if we took the hands to the ball, we'd be taking the hands up here on a path like this when the ball is actually going to land, you know, or be in the point of contact somewhere in here. You want to imagine where the ball is off the tee. You know, this is where human error comes in. You know, let's say he's picturing the ball to be somewhere in here. You know, let's say chest high or a little bit below. So his hands are going to have to come either level or slightly down to get to that path. And if it's a higher pitch, it'll be higher, and lower, it'll be lower. So let's see how he takes this here. Starts to rotate, snap. He's starting to snap the wrists around, axe snapping. He's in a good position here. Looks like his bat path and his hand path is coming pretty level to down, which is going to meet where the point of contact is. So we always want our hand path to be on a straight line where the ball is going to be, where we're anticipating the point of contact to be. But the bat head, just because of the weight of the bat head and torque and everything that thrusts it down, it's always going to drop down a little bit and be hitting the ball at a slight up angle or level at worst. Sometimes you see like a Robo hits the ball and he's very level, but you never want to actually swing down with the bat head. So coming through here, he continues to snap. I think he's getting even the bat head a little bit high here. It's getting it's getting almost above his hands, where he's maybe even going to be a little bit too level here. He could have tried to come up through a little bit more on here. Maybe he just missed it a little bit. To me, that looks like he undercuts that a little bit, and that's probably a pop-up. Don't fool yourself. The major players don't hit a home run every single time or a hit every single time either. But the one thing is, forget where the ball goes and where this is. If I just watch this in fast motion, I mean, these mechanics are still perfect. Swinging on a straight line, body angle back, getting extreme, weight transfer off the back foot and rotation, and just he either caught the ball a little thin, or to me it looks like this was just a little bit too level. Watch how the hand path could have been, the hand path is coming slightly down here, and he needed it to be just more level, or he could have even brought it slightly up, but I think more level on this one. And that's the hard part of the swing. but you don't want to have the same swing on every single pitch. You know, he's a little bit too level on here. You know, if this ball was just a little bit lower, he would have caught the bottom part of the ball and hit the ball on a slight upswing. We always want to hit on a slight upswing with the bat path. That's what makes a solid strike and drives the ball up in the air. We don't want to hit the ball with a glancing blow. Now here, he powered through the ball. The bat didn't bounce off the ball. He just caught the bottom part of it a little bit too much, and I think it's because his swinging, let's just say, let's get inside his head. Let's say he was thinking, I'm going to try and swing level on this ball coming in. So the very next pitch, if he gets that same exact pitch, it's going to have to be slightly up from there. Let's take a look at this one here in fast motion, and then I'll slow it down. If it's a lower pitch, we need to think lower, and if it's a higher pitch, we need to think higher. This is just raw footage, so we're taking a look at, oh yeah, he got right through that one. So this is a little bit lower pitch, I would call it. As he comes ahead, you'll notice the mechanics, just like with a bad player, the mechanics are always going to be bad on a good or a bad hit, and someone's just using their natural ability. With the better players, their mechanics are always going to be good, and it's just a matter of the swing angle, really, is what it is. Let's take a look here. This pitch is coming in. You can definitely see its lower trajectory. It's maybe going to be in a similar spot, but it's going to be a little bit lower as far as where his hand path and his swing angle is going to be. So I'm going to think that as it comes down here a little bit lower, he's going to have to take his hands pretty aggressively down, or to be honest, this is actually the pitch that you want to swing a little bit more level on. So the previous swing that he had is the swing that he wants to have on this pitch. So let's see here. This is coming around. The hand path is coming at a slight down angle. The bat head is dropping a little bit and coming through, but not dropping way down because he's snapping the wrist to keep it along the top of a rope. If we have a rope here, we want to swing along the top of a rope at a slight up angle, but we can also train our hands, take the rope at a slight down angle to train our hand path. There's two different ways you can train for that. Here we go. He comes through. Boom. Look how he cuts the bottom part of that ball. This is a lower pitch, and this is like the same swing pretty much that he had on the previous ball, except here he's coming level through. The lower the pitch, the more aggressive and more level or down with the hands you have to take it, and the more level with your bat head. If you try to drop this bat head down and golf that ball up in the air, good luck. I mean, you're going to hit a lot of top spin ground balls, but the other thing is the lower the pitch gets, if you're aggressively attacking it down like this, the higher the chances of you hitting the bottom part of the ball a little bit thin and hitting a pop-up as well. So, I mean, a pitch that's chest high or higher is the easiest pitch to hit, and it's very self-correcting. So let's take a look here. So that was kind of the lower end of the spectrum. I mean, I don't see him swing at something knee-high very often, so we're not going to get a look at that, even though you really have to attack that down. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, so here's a pitch that's coming in obviously higher. And when I'm talking higher, I'm not talking like 2 feet higher and 2 feet lower. This is just a matter of inches, but you have to anticipate when this ball comes in. You have to say, hey, this is a ball I think is going to be about chest high, or if you're not thinking that exact thought, you say, hey, this ball is going to be somewhere here, or it just comes from practice, from hitting hundreds and thousands of balls. You're going to say, hey, this is a higher pitch. I need to take the hands up through on this. Just like the previous one, the pitch was coming in low, he's got to take his hands down through it. Or if you're thinking of the bat head, you say, oh, I'm going to think the bat head more level. Or if you're thinking of the bat head focus, you say, I got to take the bat head up through this ball. Or if you're thinking of the hands, it's the other way around. It's a down angle and an up through. So here we go. The pitch is coming in. This is going to be a great pitch that I like in the zone. It's going to be about chest high or even higher. Watch his hand path here. Hand path coming, instead of going down, if he tries to take this hand path and do the same exact swing as he's been doing on the last two pitches, he's going to cleave it badly and it's going to be a pop-up. Or if he hits the top of the ball, he's going to beat it into the ground. Watch how the hand path is coming slightly up. So if I have a rope here, he's actually swinging along a rope slightly up. That's why we do the rope training. And guys ask me all the time, should I have it up, down, or middle? It's depending on you. I mean, you should train all three so that you can train yourself for the 3 pitches that come in. But if you tend to golf up on a lot of things, you might have to train with it down and vice versa. Look at his hand path come up through. Now, if he leveled off here, just like on the last pitch, that frame there is very important. And no, you can't break down one frame when you're swinging. You just pull the trigger and decide where your swing angle is going to be. But you know, whether he's thinking about this or not, he's subconsciously or consciously thinking slightly up through with the hand path here, because that's what shows up on film. You know, he's slightly up through. He's catching that on an upswing. You know, it's a straight line. We want to swing on as close to a straight line. Now, a straight line would actually be from here right through the ball. I don't even know if that's possible, and you wouldn't want to swing on an exact straight line like that. The bat head's always going to drop a little bit, like to this position, but then it catches up and boom, it finishes. You know, point A, his hands were back here, and now point B, out to full extension right after contact at a slight up angle. So that's the top of the spectrum. Well, you know, we can push it even farther. We can get a pitch that's, you know, head high and see what you have to do on that. But it's, you know, I'm just going through the raw footage here. Here we go. Here's a ball that, you know, whether this was a mistake, I don't know. I'm just going to assume he's trying to hit every single one of these balls out. Maybe it's an exhibition. Here's a similar pitch to like the first two that we saw. It's not quite as high as the previous one. It's going to come in more in this chest high or maybe a little bit lower area. And you know, he had success. This is just what goes through my mind when I'm swinging. I'm not putting thoughts in his head. But the previous pitch, I swung, you know, we swung up through slightly with the hands, and that was a bomb. So the next pitch that comes in, hey, maybe the tendency is we're going to think hands slightly up through on this one as well. And where this pitch is a little bit lower, and actually the hands, you can watch his hands here. He doesn't really take them on a straight line up. Okay, so now they're in a position here. They should go on an up plane like this, a slight up plane, and launch up through the ball. They drop down a little bit, and then he pulls them up at the end. And you know, whether this was a little bit too much wrist manipulation or maybe he just caught the top part of the ball, it looks like look at his swing plane here. You know, on the previous one, you know, that ball was a lot higher. The point of contact was a lot higher. You can go back and look at it. And I don't mean like a lot, like it was way up here, but it was definitely higher where he would have caught this ball still on the upswing and caught it there. But here you can see this needed to be just a tad, and I mean just like a fraction of an inch, a little bit more level, and he would have cut through that. Or maybe he just caught the middle of the ball, which is fine. I mean, to keep the ball in the park, it actually looks like he strikes this with a pretty good upward swing, and it could have just been human error. Maybe he just caught the middle of the ball instead of the actual bottom of the ball. And you know, this is still a cut. He still cut this ball. It's a hard topspin ball, and maybe that even went out. But it's not a loopy, draggy swing. Look at that rotation he gets there. I mean, just if you're trying to copy someone's swing, try to copy here. So I mean, if that's our mishit, it's a hard topspin line drive, then hey, bring that on. I'll take that any day. Here comes another pitch higher in the zone. So you know, this is the game. You know, it's at bat to at bat or at pitch to pitch in BP. You don't just swing the same at all these balls. You know, if he feels like he was on, what I would feel there is like, oh, I was on top of that ball a little bit. If that pitch comes in again, I need to get a little bit more aggressive with my angle, either a little bit more closer to level as opposed to, well, it's always slightly up with the bat head, but you know, not quite so much up. You know, you just got to, you know, lower that angle a little bit. Let's see what he does here. Once again, he has just such a great straight line swing. He's axe snapping his wrist. He's not rolling his wrists over into the ball prematurely. You know, he's still palm up, palm down here, and then it's going to roll through right after contact. Boom! Look at that, right on an upswing. And this actually looks like he caught the point of contact back a little bit farther. And hey, was he a little bit more up through on this with the hands, or did he just catch the correct part of the ball? You know, it's hard to say there, but you can really see it's a similar motion, and his hand path here, because this ball isn't quite as high as that one a few swings ago, his hand path is almost perfectly level across his chest. You know, his body angle is back so nice that he just, the point of having the body angle back and the front shoulder higher than the rear shoulder is so that our hips and everything are going to open at an up, you know, and the rotation is going to be at an upward level. That's what's going to drive the ball up in the air, not just for home runs, but over the fielders' heads and anything else. And so we're not cleaving down through it. And then we don't have to drop the hands down and try to lift up through it all. You know, does he drop his hands and try to lift this ball up in the air? No, he takes his hands on a straight path right across his chest. That was almost straight across, maybe even slightly downward. to get across the chest, but you can see the bat head catches it up through. And he actually might have been a little thin on that. Let's watch the trajectory of that ball. Might have been a little bit thin there. I think that's a ball that with his power and hitting it off the sweet spot still carried out of here. But it's just maybe a little bit thin there. But you can see the mechanics look the same regardless. Here's a pitch that's a little bit lower. All right, let's take a look at this. A little bit lower pitch. You can see nothing changes with the initial setup. I mean, maybe he took a little bit longer stride to account for the shorter pitch, but the connected position and the body angle and everything is always the same. That's why it's the beauty of the swing is to have a good base. You know, if you get to this point here, it's hard to mess it up, or at least get to this point here every single time, and then you don't have to worry about the beginning part of your swing. You can just focus on the second and the third part of your swing. Here he's going to take, now this pitch is going to come in, you can see this pitch is going to be quite a bit shorter than the other ones. He took a little bit longer stride, so that's actually going to make the pitch not quite as short. You know, that's a subtle thing that players do. You know, you don't take the same length of a stride every single time either. On a shorter pitch, you're going to have a little bit longer stride. On a deeper pitch, you're going to have a shorter stride. So this is all about adjustments. Watch out. He's going to take his hands, I'm guessing it's going to be slightly down or even more aggressive down through it to actually cut this ball. Look at, hands are coming down, 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 down. Look at, they started chest high and now they're down here. Where were they on the previous pitch? They were up higher like this. You got to trust your hands here. You can't chicken out and take the hands down and then pull up at the last second. You're gonna or flip your wrist at the last second. You're gonna end up hitting a ground ball or cleave down through it. But here we go. Does he continue? Does he flip this bat up into the middle or top of the ball and hit a ground ball, or does he continue on this path, palm up, palm down, like he's swinging an axe and actually cutting the blade through the bottom of the ball? Look at that. Continues on a slight upward plane. Look at that. Continues on palm up, palm down, and then just starts to roll over right after contact out to a straight line. Just a phenomenal job there with a little bit lower pitch. Let's just look at a couple more here. Here's a ball that he gets on top of. This is a shorter pitch again. Now, this is about that same pitch that he just had where, he cut through the ball nicely. Let's see what happens here. Is he a little bit late with the snap? Does he just miss the bottom of the part of the ball and hit the middle part and hit a nice hard, line drive for a hit? I mean, he hasn't been out yet except for maybe that first swing. Or is this actually a tiny bit too much of an up angle with the hands? Look at now the hands will always be above the ball here, a little bit, but do the hands need to be a half an inch lower? And then he'll actually take this bat head and cut through the bottom part of the ball. Instead, he hits the middle of it there. That kind of came up real quick there instead of finishing at a more of aggressive angle down. If he was trying to hit this ball out of the park, just a slight little miss there. I would say on the next swing, he would have to think just a little bit more aggressively, snapping down through, like taking the top hand like a fishing pole and finishing through the bottom part of the ball instead of trying to lift up. Here's a pitch that's going to be medium, not high or low. He comes through. The hand path is slightly down, but the bat head is up through. He's swinging the bat head up along the top of a rope, but the hand path is moving slightly down. I hope you guys understand that concept. Look at here, catches it on the upswing, boom. And he looked like he was even a little bit early on this. That's the beauty of swinging on a straight line like this, or not having a loop down and then a flip up, or even coming through like this and then flipping up over the top. Because when you come through here, let's just say he was so late on it that he made contact here, or if he was just trying to go to right field, he could still make contact here. Boom, he'd hit a hard ball, and he hits it here, which maybe it looks like he's maybe a little bit reaching out there, where he's early, maybe just a tad, and it doesn't matter because he's swinging along that same line, so he has a lot of margin of error there. He can swing all the way. He could even catch the ball. If he actually, here's the ideal point of contact would probably be here. So he caught it just a little bit early. He could even hit the ball here, to be honest with you. You wouldn't want to, but he still could. And it would be a cut swing or a good swing. Let's see if we can see a really high one or a really low one here before I get done. Oh, you can just see that, a nice, that's a lower pitch, and you can see how it's still a slight upswing. you can just watch it in full motion and see how he's swinging up through that ball, and I would call that a belly button high pitch. But watch the hands. The hands will actually go from chest high. Just watch my cursor on the hands. The hands come up here about head high, and then boom, the hands go on a slight down angle. But you can obviously see the bat head is up through. So, I mean, you can't even argue those points. Oh, here's a lower pitch right here that he, looks like an obvious miss hit on. Maybe this is a hit. Maybe, he's still hitting his ball hard, so maybe it's a hit and it goes through the infield. But I'm just going to assume when we hit a ground ball here that it's let's just assume that we're trying to hit a home run or an underspin type ball on all these balls just so we can talk about the swing. He really needs to take, this is great. Here's the lower end of the spectrum. So here's this pitch is coming in, it's going to come in about waist high, I would say. So the point of contact somewhere in here. You got to take these hands and you got to start them. Now you're not going to actually swing down through and finish with your hands down here by your knees. You start them on that path, and then they'll come up through within the rotation and finish around. But you got to take these hands like down to where you think that pitch is going to be. Pretty aggressive angle. I don't know what that angle is, 45 degrees, maybe not that extreme, but it's going to be an aggressive angle. Let's see how he starts the hands. Taking them down, 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 down. Now I would say here, he starts to level them off just a little bit too early and tries to, and he's used to swinging up on these last, 5-10 pitches. He doesn't quite trust it to get all the way down through, and you can see here the hands are quite a bit above the ball. I mean, we wouldn't want the hands to be down here, like I said before, but just has to be an aggressive angle, more down through. Started the upswing a little bit too soon here is what it looks like to me, and actually gets way on top of the ball, and then finishes pretty high as well. The bat head drops down more than normal and actually finishes up through a lot quicker than normal. He doesn't quite get out to that. This bat head should be right here. It should be out at a straight line and not up through like that. So this is all things that you can watch on your own swing and say, hey, what happened here? There's a ball that you didn't quite cut through the middle of it. I won't go over that one. I want to see if there's a higher one here towards the end of the session. Let's see where this pitch is coming in, a little bit lower. Oh, yeah, look at how early he was there. You can just see how super early he was there. And the beauty of the swing and how we teach it is that it's okay. There's a huge margin of error. You can be, look how early he is on this, whether it's just human error or timing or whatever. Not everyone's perfect all the time. Look, his point of contact is way out here, which you would never advocate wanting to do. He's a frame before full extension, but because his bat head, he stays palm up, palm down. He doesn't flip those wrists over where the bat head juts up. Otherwise, the bat head would have come up and he would have beat the ball into the ground. He continues through on that straight line. Look at that. Continues out to the full extension. That's just a great piece of, it's not even like he did that consciously, like, oh, I'm going to be early and I'm just going to swing straight through. No, it's because his mechanics are so sound all the time that you have a huge margin of error there. Boom, look at that. The very next pitch here, he doesn't quite have the straight line bat path. He takes the hands. This is a great path that he started on. If he continued, slightly down here, if he continued to follow that path and then take the bat head along this path, continue along this path, continue to snap sideways on that path, he'd cut right through the bottom. Looks like right here, looks like he either did not take his wrist palm up, palm down, and continue to take that top hand like you're casting a fishing pole, or let's just say we're swinging an axe here. Instead of burying the blade of the axe into the ball, he starts to just flip this up a little bit, so he maybe gets a little handsy. Maybe that top hand starts to just flip up just an inch. See that? It's almost like he rises the bat head up, and it comes up over the top. And then he doesn't, you can obviously see that he did something with his wrist there different. He didn't power him through on a straight line, because look at here. He's not out to that nice straight line position like he normally is. He's actually at a little bit of an angle there. So I would say he either didn't power the snap through contact, or he thought of a little bit too much of an up angle. It's hard to say. There could be a couple different focus things that broke down there. But he didn't just miss the top part, miss the part of the ball that he was aiming for and hit the top part. It was a small mechanical breakdown here that caused that bat head to come off of the straight line that he was swinging on. It comes up just a couple of inches, and that's what creates a topspin. And I see this all the time with guys. Sometimes I see their bat is up like this, you know, and then I know that you're trying to manipulate that top wrist, or you're trying to manipulate the snap instead of letting it just come through naturally. Oh yeah, here's a nice ball that's a little bit higher. He almost cuts it a little bit too level. But that's the thing. How many times do I go out in a session and hit 50, or let's say I hit 100 balls? How many balls do I get 100% of? I mean, is it 5 or 10? You know, not even 10. I mean, I don't get 100% of 10 balls out of 100. I don't think. You know, and I'll hit, you know, anywhere from you know, 70 to 85 balls out of 100, you know, if I'm trying to. But how many of those am I hitting out that I caught 70 to 80% of? Quite a few, or 90%, but not 100%. So don't fool yourself and think that, you know, every single home run you hit, or that these guys are even hitting, they're catching 100% of. It's about having good, solid mechanics, and then your miss hits will go out. You know what I mean? Your miss hits will be hard line drives. No, you know, guys see you bomb a ball 350, and you say, oh man, I only got about 80% of that. You know, people in the stands think that you just absolutely crushed it. So it's a matter of just a little bit of a mental thing there too. Great connected position here. Here's a little bit higher pitch. He needs to take these hands, you know, probably with his hands being in a nice high position like this, probably straight across the chest. Probably don't want this to be slightly down at all. He's taking them straight across. That's a slight down angle, and then they start to come up. Maybe he caught it a little bit thin there. You can see he comes through. He finishes pretty level. He finishes pretty level here. That's pretty level. That's not at his arms and bat are not at a slight up angle. But this is better than having a golf swing. I'll tell you that. You know, it's way better. He catches that a little bit thin. That trajectory, is that ball out of here? Probably, with his rotation and everything. That's the end of the session. I hope you guys enjoyed looking at this. This is just a great way for when you're watching your swings to just go back and be able to break down, you know, little things like this. You don't want to think about all these tiny little things when you're actually swinging and when you're standing up there, but you have to be able to say, hey, this pitch is coming in. Is this a high, low, or middle pitch? This is about middle. I got to swing at a certain angle. And find out what your baseline is. If your baseline, if you say, hey, every time I go up there, I'm thinking about swinging level, and that's actually slightly up, well then on a higher pitch, you really need to think way up through with the hands, and on a lower pitch, you need to think, you know, aggressively down through. So go around in BP, play around with the swing angles. Don't use the same swing angle on every single pitch. You know, otherwise you're going to be in a situation where on the higher pitches you're always going to be underneath them and cleaving them, and on the lower pitches you're going to be on top of them. And then use the rope training. I show that all the time on the channel. Set up a rope slightly up, level, and slightly down, and train both your hand path and your bat path on the proper way. All right, thank you much, guys.